As an academy owner, you work hard to build trust with your students, their parents, and your community. But trust isn't something you claim, it's something you prove and earn. That's where Academy Safe comes in. We help academies like yours stand out with verified safety standards. Background checks for all staff, U.S. Center for Safe Sports certification, concussion training, defibrillators on site, CPR, first aid and AED certification, security cameras, rank and lineage checks, and verification of business insurance. Join the trusted martial arts registry that's redefining safety throughout North America. Lead by example. Show parents you're accredited with Academy Safe.
Hello, and welcome to My Empty Hands, a podcast about the martial arts, usually focused on Kempo, but we give love to all the martial arts around here. I am Reggie Darden, and I'm once again joined with a wonderful Kempo great, Kempo, not sure which good words to use, but
Kempo dude.
Kempo dude, I like that. I like that a lot. So we got a great Kempo dude, Mr. Lee Wedlake. He is a returning guest on the show, as we were taking a look just a little bit ago here. He was last on back in November of 24, so he was one of my first guests while I was and still am trying to figure out this podcasting thing, but yeah, it's been a pleasure to have him on. At this point, I did finish reading Lessons with Ed Parker. I don't think I finished it when he was last on. I was getting close to that, but I did finish that, and so we may get onto that. And whatever kind of rat holes that we get on, we'll do that as I like to say. So I always start things off by just saying that I train in multiple martial arts at this point: American Kempo, Hapkido, Capoeira, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and I have some experience doing Taekwondo and some boxing in there a little bit. So yeah, with the podcast and life and all the good things that I do, I stay busy, but it's fun and I enjoy it. So what I wanted to do is, since it's been over a year since I had Mr. Wedlake on, we'll start with updates on what he's been up to over the year, and then we'll nicely segue into the books that he's been working on and whatever other fun things that he's been doing, and we'll just kind of go from there. So let's turn it over to Mr. Wedlake, and how's the year been treating you? Years, I guess at this point, have been treating you, and what have you been up to?
Well, it's been good. It's good to be back here with you. I've done several podcasts, as we talked about before we went on. Recently, some of them haven't been published yet, but I'm still in Florida. I know I move a lot, but I'm still down in Southwest Florida, and I am still on a seminar circuit. So later this month in May, I'll be over in Ireland with Eddie Downey at the big European Kempo camp, which draws about 400 to 500 Kempoists from the United States and Europe. It's a great event. I'm really looking forward to going back there. Paul Dye is going to be there, along with a lot of other top instructors from Europe. So it's good to see old friends. Eddie Downey I met back in 1986 on my first trip to Europe with Ed Parker. And he's been doing a heck of a job with promoting the art and turning out quality black belts. Other seminars that I've been doing, I just did a few in California, came back from that, started down in LA and worked my way up into the Fresno area. And later this year, I'll be going back to California and Austin, Texas, not too far from you, South Carolina. I'll wind up the year in Tucson, Arizona, first weekend of December. So the seminar circuit has been solid. I've got a podcast too. I don't know if you knew this. It's called
Oh,
Get Cranial.
oh, nice.
It's a term that my co-host, Dr. Andre Netto out of Maine, uses when he talks with his brothers, because they're all very, very smart people. And like his brother's a pharmacist and Andre's a top-notch chiropractor. But get cranial is a term they use when they just get to talking about things in depth. So we have done a series of 28 podcasts already that are on a Facebook page, and they're also available on Podbean and Apple Podcasts. They run about 20 to 30 minutes, but they have a focus toward martial artists, because there are things that we just need to know or we're misinformed about, and some of the anatomical structures of the body that are important to know, body alignment and how your systems work and what a concussion is and all that. So little bite-sized chunks as you go along, and information that you can pass on to your mother or your grandmother, a neighbor that's getting a little bit older, needs a little bit of help with knowing how the body works, especially as you get older, because you start losing your balance and things start breaking down and so on. So it's been pretty helpful. We just did one this afternoon on blunt force trauma, which is a big martial arts term that I think people are going to be interested in listening to that. And as you mentioned, I've been working on the books. So you said you had just about finished up Lessons with Ed Parker 2024. That was the updated version from the one I wrote about 20 some odd years ago. How'd you like it?
Oh, I loved it, and I think I mentioned this when you were last on. But one of the things that I really love about it is that it's not just oh well, Ed Parker did this and he came up with this, and it's not just listing off facts and things about it. It really gave me a sense of what it was like to be around Ed Parker, and what he was like as a person, and not just, oh well, he's the father of American Kempo, so we just have to kind of bow down to how everything that he did and everything he said. But it was like I really, many times while reading it, was like, oh, I feel like I was there hanging out with him, and I really like that aspect of it. It's too many, and it's not just with Ed Parker, but every kind of big martial arts entity or celebrity or whatever you want to say. You just kind of see that side, and you don't really get to be exposed to what it was like to be with that person. So that was something that I really loved about the book.
That's great, because that's what I set out to do. And I've gotten very similar feedback from lots and lots of people over time, because I really wanted people to know what he was like as a man, because he was a regular guy. I've met some other famous martial artists over time. It's like, I don't think I want to be around this person. Ego's so big. But working with Ed Parker was a very interesting experience, of course. And what I've done since then, I'm reworking a book that I published about the same time back then, early 2000s, called Further Insights into Kempo. So it'll be Further Insights 2026. So it's been expanded. That book was a compilation of magazine articles that I had written. So the new version will have things that I wrote and published after that was published, and some other material. And my publisher, I decided to go with Empire Books in Los Angeles, with somebody who's rather well known as Jose Fraguas. And Jose has been working on this thing for quite some time. We just need to get it right. So it's been a labor of love. But it should be out here very, very shortly. We're down to one of the final drafts now. And like a lot of my other books, they're not picture books. There's pictures in there, but it's not a step-by-step sort of thing. And it covers a spectrum of information from, here's how you can use your knees and your elbows. And here's some stuff for tournament people, and here's some historical information. Then there's an article I did for the Journal of Asian Martial Arts on carotid chokes, like a sleeper hold sort of thing. And I wrote that with a world-renowned surgeon. So that will be included in the book. And that material has attracted the interest of law enforcement agencies because carotid chokes are always a pretty sensitive subject. They're allowed, they're not allowed, they're allowed again. But you really need to pay attention to what they're doing, in particular in a classroom. Because the American diet ain't so good. And you get plaque in your arteries, and you got a young guy that's beating on an older guy, hits him a little too hard in the side of the neck, and maybe you break a chunk of plaque off and the guy strokes out at you. So we need to take those things into consideration as well. By the way, do you know the acronym for an American diet?
No.
It's SAD. It's a standard American diet because we got a lot of junk in our food. So
Oh, yeah.
to pay attention. I was talking with somebody at lunch about this sort of thing the other day. I said, what you don't understand, there's a principle, which is if it tastes good, spit it out. Anyway, that book will be out sometime in 2026. And in the meantime, I wrote and published this one, which is The Essential Principles of Ed Parker's Kempo Karate. It's not a big book, but the reason that I wrote it was because, as you know, there's a lot more information that's available today than there ever was before. And particularly, you got the Ed Parker books. We've got the 5 volumes. You got this book over here, and this guy's book over there. And sometimes it gets a little hard to dig up the information. Kind of I know I read that somewhere, but where was it? Then you get some stuff that's just flat out wrong in some publications. But I tried to take the essential stuff, which I could have called it the basic principles, but you have your basic principles and you have essential principles, things you just have to know. And I tried to group those in sections that were easy to read and understand. So if you had a question about what's the rule on checking, or what about what do you call body momentum? Is there something there that I can look at? And it's like, yes, that's in the book. And I've got a second volume that I am working on, which is applying Parker Kempo principles to life. And I think that some people get a little confused between Parker principles and physics principles. He didn't invent physics. So there are things that, bodies have to do because they follow the laws of physics. And then there are things that are the Parker principles, which, as you know, studying multiple martial arts, they do this because of that, we do this because of this. These other guys do it on the ground. The principles are often very different, but as I'm sure you're noticing, you're seeing these, what we call the golden threads or universal truths. Is like, I did that in BJJ, I did that in Kempo, I did that, and you see it, it's like, yeah, that's because they were important. And this book, this Essential Principles book, is to get the idea of the things that you really need to know to help polish up your Kempo. The second volume, Applying It to Life, is basically simple stuff because a lot of what you do are things that you do all the time. Like a Parker system teaches you something called margin for error. which is you got your body in a position. It's like, well, if I needed to, I could go from this point, I could step forward or use my hand like that or what have you without having to make a major change up. And you do that when you plan your finances or your schedule. You know, if this isn't quite working here, I can go there. If I have a problem, I got extra money set aside so I can cover that. That's daily application of that sort of thing. So that's what I'm trying to get across, because making martial arts a way of life doesn't mean you're eating fish heads and rice.
Yeah, yeah. I doing this show, I mean, I enjoy it immensely. One of the, I guess, bittersweet parts of it is that number of my guests have written books, and so I've been trying to collect those all, but of course, with doing 5 martial arts and doing a podcast and working and life and everything, I'm finding it difficult to read all of these books. But I'm definitely making the effort to try and get through all the different ones. But I like the idea of having something that's kind of gives you a little bit more of the focus, like you mentioned, having to go, oh, well, I think this thing was in this book. And so having kind of a little more condensed, refined version of that is definitely something that I like. Going along with that, I love, one of the things that I just love about Kempo is that it does plug in well. All those concepts and principles do plug in well, especially, I mean, not just in Kempo, but in other martial arts and in life. And that's something that I see all the time now, that when I'm getting my new technique in Hapkido, I start thinking, okay, well, how can I apply these Kempo principles to this and enhance that technique? Or if I'm rolling around in jiu-jitsu, okay, well, how can I manipulate height, width, depth? And all of that helps that art, and vice versa. When I'm doing something in Kempo and we're doing a technique, actually just the other night we were, we're working a technique, working Desperate Falcons. And the start of that is, the beginning of that technique is very, very similar to the techniques that I'm working in my current belt level in Hapkido. And so I was able to kind of see the different parts where those fit together, and it was like, okay, well, here's the deficiency in the Hapkido side, and then here's how I can use Kempo to improve that, and then here's how I can use Hapkido to improve the Kempo part. And I just love how it just all gels together, and just really you can just really form it to become a better artist, a better fighter, better self-defense, however you want to describe that.
I've got a student that is a black belt in 3 different systems. He is a 7th degree in one of them. And I've asked him with his private lessons, I do online private lessons for people around the country. I said, is this helping what you're doing in your other arts? He said, yes, because a lot of times they don't have a terminology or a logic. It gets taught as just do this sort of thing. And Ed Parker was big on, if you knew how it worked, you could fix it when it wasn't working quite right. He went through the whole mechanic of motion, engineer of motion, salesman of motion. They called him the magician of motion. But it's important because, like, when I was learning how to fly, they said, well, you're going to learn how to fly the airplane, but you also have to know how the engine works. I thought, why do I need to know that? Well, there are times it would be nice to know how your fuel system is intended to work. And if it's not, these are the steps you can take to eliminate that problem, hopefully. And it's the same thing with the Kempo. It's one of these life lesson things. It's like you understand that this is the procedure over here, so you can apply that same procedure over here. When it comes down to combative things, you may be finding that by doing multiple arts, that sometimes you have to kind of switch your thinking and go, I know I need to be doing this, but that creates a gap. And particularly what I've found with my students that do BJJ, when they're doing Kempo, they say, this just flows right into it, and I don't have to stop and think. I can just go ahead and do that. And they actually do. You see a relationship of stand-up Kempo to what they do on the ground. And they've done some integrations of techniques which are pretty interesting to look at too. One of the Gracies, hit on Gracie, watched me teaching up in Manchester, New Hampshire last year. And he stood on the side, he was watching, he goes, So it was kind of fun to see that. And that's one of the advantages of being able to know these high-level instructors in other arts, like Jimmy Pedro, the Olympic judoka. Jimmy and I have taught together several times, and we've gotten to talking because I did judo back in the 60s and early 70s. Mm-hmm. He teaches something. I said, did they change this? Oh, yeah, they did this and that. I said, oh, okay, well, that explains the difference. So it's interesting to see how the arts have changed and how the arts cross over. There's a lot more crossover now than there used to be. You may not have been allowed to do what you're doing years ago by an instructor. They may have said, no, you're going to do this art and this art only. And if you did go and sample that other art, you could very well be kicked out of your studio. So in today's world, doing multiple arts is like it's no big deal. But you should still trust your instructor. If you say, I want to try this, your instructor should be savvy enough to say, that doesn't fit your body or your thinking as well as it could. So maybe you want to rethink that or go try it and, maybe I'm wrong, but you'll think about it and you realize I'm right. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a fine line with cross training. I mean, as much as I love it, I definitely say that it's not for everyone. There's some people that they just have to have the blinders on. It has to be okay. I'm focused on this, and that's fine. And then I also I don't recommend it for beginners. If you're just starting out, no, just stick with your style. Get comfortable with that. Learn what you need to learn, and then once you get to an advanced rank, then you can start dabbling in something else. But yeah, if you're just trying to learn what a horse stance is, and you're like, oh well, now I need to know the mount and all this other stuff. Yeah, that's going to be problematic. And I've definitely had my share of getting into a little bit of hot water with my teacher over trying to hold on to these different things or trying to work on other things that I've been doing. So yeah, there's definitely a time and a place for the cross training. But I think at the end of the day, one art as great as Kempo is, it doesn't have everything, and the same thing with any other art that you want to take. Actually, I was interviewing someone yesterday, and we were talking about not particularly being fans of the weapon defenses in Kempo. We're more of the mind that something like the FMA are more adept in that sort of thing, and in Krav Maga and things like that are they maybe they have a little more edge or a little more experience or whatever you want to call it in dealing with those things. Not to say that it's bad in Kempo, but there's always someone better. There's always a bigger fish. There's whatever it is.
That's true. You know what I found? A lot of people are critical of the Parker Kempo weapon defenses because they don't understand that they're interchangeable. And they may be taught as a defense against a gun, but they also work for a knife, or they work for what we call a threat position. A threat position would be if somebody's got a knife and they're doing this, they're just holding it out there, which is the same as somebody doing this. And you can use the same patterns for those situations. So it may be that it's taught for a gun, and it may not be the best answer for a gun. But there are some principles, and this is why I really like Philippine martial arts, because I did those for years too. I did Serrata Eskrima, and that's like the Kempo of Eskrima. It's a short-range, close-in system. But the FMA systems will teach you the open-end triangle. And that was one of Ed Parker's big principles. You use an open-end triangle for margin for error and for keeping protected. So if you understand that and you do the type of drills that the FMA people do, where guys are constantly switching, changing their attack lines instead of the sort of thing, it becomes a lot more effective. Given that somebody doesn't have a lot of time, like yourself, like I'm doing this art and that art and I'm working, you go. If you want to do a weapon system, you want to work weapons, do a Philippine martial art. Some of the more advanced Parker stuff that they teach with the Form 7 and Form 8, I was like, I am not a fan. I just don't care for them. And Mr. Parker taught me a lot of that stuff. He taught me his principles on using a knife and so on. But the forms, I'm like, I don't think I would do that. I'm not about to switch hands.
Yeah, that's...
There's stuff like that. It's like, no. I mean, I may have the villagers coming after me with torches and pitchforks for saying that, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, sometimes the truth hurts. So, so that actually kind of leads me into something that I guess I will start with you on. So something that I've been kind of thinking about is in trying to kind of come up with different ideas for the show and just kind of different topics and things like that. Now that I'm starting to have repeat guest back on, we got into your origin story the first time, and so now we have to come up with other things to talk about. But one of the things that I've been thinking about doing is talking with people that involved in law enforcement and or people that have had to use their Kempo skills, their martial arts skills in the real world. So kind of getting their experiences with it, getting their thoughts about it, getting maybe dispelling some of the I don't know, rumors or kind of fantasy world that we live in. So the thing that kind of kicked all of this off, this I may have had this a little bit when you were on before, but I have been completely obsessed with police body cam videos lately. Yeah. I mean, the amount of hours that I have, I don't know if wasted, but I've definitely watched way too many body cam videos lately. And so one of the things that really stood out was that I mean, gonna give my little ass kiss rodeo to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I guess grappling arts, all inclusive, wrestling, judo, and anything like that. But law enforcement officers, from my point of view, you've got to have some grappling skills. I've seen way too many of these videos where it's taken 6, 7, 8 cops to barely take down someone that's 100 pounds soaking wet, and it's crazy to me how. And yes, there's a lot of don't come after. Well, you can come after me if you want, but yeah, I get it. There's a lot of variables. They're on drugs or whatever the thing is, adrenaline. But I've seen way too many of these videos where just these police officers were not equipped to be able to deal with this person that they're trying to detain, and it's crazy to me. So definitely, I'm a big fan of the grappling arts, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and that sort of thing for police officers. But definitely saw some videos with some Kempo flavor. There's one in particular that came to mind that a person, he was the suspect was arguing with his girlfriend or something like that, and the cops show up and he's talking to the police officer, and the guy starts drawing back his hand, and it turned into an obstructing the storm situation, and the cop just blasted him, and of course the guy is, oh, like, I can't believe you hit me, and the girlfriend's like, oh, I can't believe you hit him, and cop wasted no time and said, you draw your hand back, like, I'm not going to give you the chance to hit me. Like, if you're making the moves, if you're even thinking about making the moves to hit me, I'm going to get you first. And sure enough, he did. And I was like, yeah, that's the kind of thing. You know, I'm not for cops beating up suspects and that sort of thing. But yeah, if you're gonna draw on me, we're gonna have a problem. So
Yeah, the baseline is, and I learned this way back when I first started working with the police department, is the bad guys have no rules and you do. They can do whatever they want. You've got laws and you've got department policy that restricts what you can do. So there were certain things, like they would not allow an aluminum baton way back in the 70s. And today this is not unusual. They didn't have expandable batons back then. A lot of the guys were still using the old wood breakaways. So police officers have had to change their training over time, and then the overarching laws changed too, like I said, with karate chokes. You could do them for a while, then they said, no, you can't do those anymore. So you take away the tools, and the force progression remains, which is, first, it's presence, and that's why a person in a uniform with a badge and a gun usually gets what they want. People will comply with that, like, uh-oh, it's the cops, better take a chill pill. But as you know from watching body cameras, it's like sometimes it just goes from 0 to 60. And I told people in the job, when I was an Alamo Ranger, I said, we have a 0 to 60 job because you're smiling 1 minute and then it's because people go off. And people do things that, as you've seen on body cameras, some of it's just outrageous. A lot of it would be so much easier if they would just comply. It's simple. Just, if I ask you for your license, give me your license.
I'm looking at you, sovereign citizens.
Those guys,
boy,
you know,
those.
when I get out of the car, I work with the Lee County Sheriff's Office as a road patrol officer. And anytime I get out of the car, I'm thinking, this could be the day that somebody tries to shoot me. Because in our unit, we don't have handcuffs, handguns, tasers. We don't have any of that. We handle minor stuff, you know, minor crashes, traffic control, abandoned vehicles, and so on. But we still run into the public. And so your verbal, your de-escalation skills are important. Good manners cost nothing if you're nice to people. Attitude breeds attitude. So if you come on hard, you wouldn't be surprised if the citizen comes back hard. And sometimes they come on hard, and police officers are, in general, they're pretty good about it. From all that body camera stuff you've watched, you've heard a lot of stop resisting, stop resisting. Then it starts to get, the language gets a little bit rougher. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the situation escalates. But we start with the presence, which usually gets, then we go to verbal de-escalation, then you go to what's called soft hands. Soft hands is like you can put your hands on them and guide them like a doorman does, you know, bouncer at a bar, a citizen ejection technician.
I like that.
So you can soft hand it. Hard hands is when you've got to go to this. And then again, we've got other rules when we teach pepper spray, baton use, defensive tactics. Is like, well, you can hit this, but you can't hit that. Tasers, same sort of thing. You can't tase them in the face.
Aw.
But there's a set of rules that go along with all of that. And I was a taser instructor. I tell the guys, like, please, I said, man, I really don't want to write the reports. So try not to tase them if at all possible. But you've seen some stuff that just gets pretty crazy and it turns into like you got to shoot somebody. But in the meantime, as you're going down this force progression, I've had people say the most horrible things to me. They say things about me. They say things about my wife. They go on and on. And you have to tell yourself, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know her. You can't take it personal. We had a really obnoxious suspect, and he was just going off. And when we got done, Chief looked at me and says, I wanted to kick him right in the head. I said, well, I did too. But you can't do that. And I've had people threaten my life. So it's like you run this whole gamut of things, and you have to have it, you've got to have the technology, and a lot of cops are pretty well trained at a lot of these things, but many, many departments years ago started integrating BJJ for law enforcement, and I watched both types. I've seen the stuff that's very well constructed, makes a lot of sense. I've seen the body cameras where they've done just a great takedown, and I've seen some other things like, it's not so good. And in the BJJ world, you've got that women's empowerment program, and that seems to be a pretty effective tool for women, whether they're in law enforcement or not. But the whole law enforcement thing just it's a whole nother deal, because you're rolling around on the ground, you got a duty belt on with all sorts of stuff on it. If you're wearing body armor, the body armor now becomes a handle, and it makes you top heavy. If you're not careful with what you do, you turn into a weeble wobble.
Oh, yeah.
So, you got all of that going too. So it's a very specialized sort of thing. And while body armor is good for not getting shot necessarily, but it doesn't do a damn thing for knives, because knife blade will go right through it. So you got all these considerations, which is really goes back to what we teach in martial arts, which is don't fight. Try to walk away if you can. Cops can't do that. And like you said with your domestic situation, every police officer will tell you that is the absolute worst. It's just the worst. He's beating her up and you go to arrest him and then she's on your back immediately after or whatever. It gets real messy. Paramedics too. If you talk to the EMTs and the paramedics, they'll tell you those stories. It's crazy out there. It's just crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to get some of those perspectives and those stories and insights onto that, because I've been thinking a lot about in our martial arts training, like we're training for these kind of situations, which hopefully most of us won't have to use those skills or be in those kind of situations. But I think there's still a lot of martial artists that train with this idea that they can just take care of any situation, but not realize really kind of what they're getting into and kind of how these things play out. So talking to people that have been in those situations and can say, hey, this is as much as we'd love to walk into the Taekwondo gym and beat up the three guys and do all of that. Like it doesn't always work out the way that we envision it.
It's got to be pressure tested. It has to be. There needs to be time spent on learning how to de-escalate. that sort of thing, because that's always very handy. The way that I teach Kempo today is I've got a little subset that we teach. We look at the Parker system as being an operating system. And then you have apps. So we have a joint locking and manipulation and control app. We have what's called KST, which is Kempo Street Throws. We have Kempo Fusion, which fuses Western boxing with Parker Kempo. So we've got an internal arts app. And so we put these together because, as you know, you say, well, I'm really interested in this, not so interested in that. And you get people, it's like, I don't want to roll around on the ground. I mean, that's basically, you got strikers and you got grapplers. Some people like to do both, but most people have a tendency to go with one or the other. It's the instructor's job to say, that's more for you than that, or you're going to be just fine doing both. But the instructor has to be savvy enough to do that. And you know what code switching is?
I know. I feel like I should. I feel like I've heard that recently.
Code switching is a term that they typically use for things like somebody that can speak multiple languages. And I had an instructor I worked with in Sweden. Of course, he could speak Swedish, he spoke English, and he spoke Spanish. And he could switch from one language to the other in a conversation. It was crazy to watch him do it. He was a code switcher, and because language is code. Well, you have code switchers in martial arts. This is one of the reasons that we were talking about earlier. When you go to train in another art, like you said, like, well, you learn how to do a horse stance. But if you've ever seen anybody that's done a hard style and has got a Zenkutsu Dachi, a forward leaning stance, burned into their muscle memory, if you believe in that term, but you get the idea. And then try to get them to do a forward bow, because they can't code switch. But you have other people that you teach, and they can go from Kempo to Tongsudo to whatever, and they're fine. Those are code switchers. So you kind of need to have some insight and some guidance as to what's going to work for you. But I agree with you, because there's no doubt that learning to do some grappling is pretty handy. I told a story over the weekend of one of my judo instructors way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. He told a story about getting into a street fight, and the guy throws a roundhouse punch at him, and he does seiyonage on him, does a shoulder throw, and pancakes him right into the sidewalk. And the guy gets up, and he throws another punch, so he does it again. Wham! He had to do it 3 times to get the guy to stay down. See, because he didn't know anything else. And when you do Kempo, Kachi Kempo, and systems like that, you learn how to integrate. You go, pop, 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 and then you can do the throw if you want and if you know how. But there are, it's like 40 basic judo throws and counters and a bunch of variations. It's like, don't have time for that. The mechanics of Parker Kempo lend themselves very well to throws. So we teach the mechanics of that, because somebody might find themselves in a position to go, and they got latched down, now what do I do, sort of thing. And Ed Parker said he didn't want his hands tied up, which I said, how come we don't have judo throws in the system? Because he was a judo man, I was a judo man. He says, I don't want my hands tied up. So yes, sometimes we're latched on, but it's that flexibility and thought and action. So the hand comes off and pow, 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 but he doesn't go and do a hip throw on someone. Mills Crenshaw was one of Ed Parker's early black belts. And one of my teachers, Mike Sanders, studied with him. He was a classmate with Gil Hibben.
Oh, nice.
In Utah. And Mike was a judo man, so he would do his Kempo techniques, and they would go, and he'd do a judo throw. And Mr. Crenshaw looked at it and said, that's all very nice, but one thing you got to understand is that the Japanese are very industrious people. They will pick somebody up to throw him down. So the Chinese are lazy. They hit him enough times that he falls down on his own.
I like that.
Kind of what Kempo does.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Very nice, very nice. All right. So I'm kind of looking at our time here. I want to ask you about one other thing before we get into our lightning round, and then we'll close out our time here. And I may have asked you this the first time, but we'll see what we got here. So,
Right.
I've been asking my guests what it means to be a black belt, what it means to earn a black belt. There's no standard. There's all these kind of things about, oh well, this person got it too early, or this person got it too late, or they shouldn't have this rank or that rank or whatever. I just kind of like to get my guests' thoughts on what it means to be a black belt, what it takes to earn a black belt, what just kind of your general thoughts on the coveted black belt.
Well, I'm kind of old school, and there's a certain amount of blood, sweat, and tears that's got to go into it. But you've got the material that has to be learned and done to a certain level. It's got to have some degree of speed, power, and accuracy. And somebody's got to be able to explain to you, like, this works like this because of this, and then this is why we do forms. I like to look at it from the outside perspective. Somebody says, why do you guys do that? A black belt should be able to explain that, like they're talking to a fifth grader. We do that because of da 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 da. I think that the whole black belt thing that you just mentioned is like, where did you get your college degree? Because you went to that school or you went to this school, and that one's like, mail order college degree. And then you got, one of the Ivy League schools. So you've got there's just no standard because there's so many different types of arts, and then you've got so many different types of people teaching the art, and, which curriculum, how it is in the Parker system. Which curriculum are you using? You using the original one? You using a 1985 one? Or did you make up your own? What did you do? So really it's, can somebody do it with balance, speed, power, form, focus? Are they doing their personal best? There's no reason somebody 72 years old can't get a black belt. He might not be able to kick above his knees, but if it's got, good mechanics to it, that's great. That's really what we're looking for. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. I like it. Thank you. All right. So we are going to move into our lightning round. And my memory serves me. You don't get the last time you were on. You kind of got the preview. You got to kind of pre-think about your answers because we had a little scheduling situation and a little awkward moment. But we worked it out. But think I have pretty much the same questions as last time, so we'll see if the answers have changed at all.
Well,
So the first one being, do you have a favorite technique?
same answer. It's anyone that the guy leaves me alone.
I like it. Good. All right. Next one. Do you have a favorite form and or set?
I really like Form 4. That's like all the Parker forms, it's got a major theme that's pretty strong. It's got a lot of information in it. It's great for cardiovascular because, it's long. And it's got, actually all of these martial art forms have got the characteristics that you need, especially as you get older. One of them is exercise. Second, it needs to be a complex movement, not just plain old this sort of thing. And if it requires memory, that's even better. And if you can do it in a group, that's even better because you know that there's a different energy when you've got multiple people working through a sequence as opposed to just doing it by yourself. And that's why I tell people, the Chinese do Tai Chi in the park in the mornings as a big group because they can't remember how to do it alone at home. Anyway.
Oh, I like it. All right. Next question. Do you have a favorite weapon?
What kind of weapon?
anything that you consider a weapon. By your definition of weapon, anything you want.
I'm a knife guy.
Nice.
I'm kind of between a knife and a handgun, but I carried a gun for a long, long time. But yeah, knife guy.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it. All right. If there's anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, besides Ed Parker, who would that be?
I always default to Jigoro Kano, the founder of judo, for a lot of reasons. And one was because what he did was he took jujitsu and he made it user-friendly.
I like that.
So I was like, what did you do before you made that?
I like that. I like that. All right. So then our final question here is, what is something that either something that motivates you to train and or something that you'd like to put out there to motivate others to train? I use the example of the movie Rocky IV, the training montage. I see that. I see him running through the snow and chopping the wood and all that stuff. And I'm ready to hit the mats, hit the studio, and get to work. So what is something that always motivates you to train or something that you'd like to share for others to be motivated?
I have spent my entire life. I was reminded this past weekend that I opened my first school 50 years ago.
Oh, nice.
And some of the guys that were at that school are still with me. But I've been an instructor in multiple disciplines for years, but as a Kempo instructor for at least 50 years. And it's that keeps me motivated because I see what the upcoming generation is doing. And when I ask questions that years ago would just get responses, now they're using critical thinking. As I said, okay, now I can die a happy man because they've got it. And that's the point. I mean, I could have learned all this and just kept it for myself, but that doesn't, you got to share. You got to share it. I mean, this is the reason why I work with law enforcement today, even as a retired guy, is because it gives back to the community. So I want to give back to the Kempo community as well. People like yourself. It's like motivated, you need the keys, and you can take it, you can run with it. And T.T. Leon, who is a famous Tai Chi teacher, wrote a book said, "Steal my art." And it's like, that's what I want. I want you to take it and run with it. Okay? And make it better and go out there and improve people's lives and maybe save lives in the process.
Exactly. I like it. All right, so we are at our very final piece of business today, and that is the shameless self-promotion. So you can plug anything that you want, or if there's anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to say, you now have the floor, and then we'll close out from there.
Well, my books, Kempo Karate Compendium, Lee Wedlake's Kempo Companion, The Essential Principles, the Lessons with Ed Parker 2024 are all available online. You can get them from Amazon and your other favorite booksellers. I have my video platform on Vimeo. Vimeo, it's Lee Wedlake Kempo 101 and Kempo 401. 101 is the beginner tier and 401 is the advanced tier. So between the two, there's about 2,000 videos up there that cover basics, forms, terminology, self-defense techniques, the freestyle techniques, the whole deal. There are a lot of freebie videos up there too. The tiers are by subscription, but they're not outrageous, and that makes it available to you 24/7. And Vimeo even has a rental thing, like you can rent a video for $2 a day.
Oh, nice.
So you're just not getting delayed sword and you need it for 24 hours. It's $2.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely that's one of the curses of training multiple stuff is just I'm not giving my Kempo training enough love as I should be, and I really need to get on the ball and get myself beefed up and get my knowledge and skills up because my third brown is still not too far in the distance. So I need to get up and instead of just being bad at jiu-jitsu, I need to get better at everything. Well, I've been saying a lot lately that until I can find someone to pay me to be bad at jiu-jitsu, I still have to go to work every morning. So working on that. But yeah, I definitely need to give my Kempo some more love. I mean, I still do my forms and stuff all the time. I guess I'm a forms guy. I enjoy doing them all the time, but my terminology, my last test, my terminology and sayings and stuff is it's killing me, and I've got to get back on track on that.
Yeah, I've got my own issues with terminology and all that stuff. I say, oh, less is more. Less is more.
Yeah. Well, yes, I thank you so much for being on and sharing your insights, and I'm looking forward to picking up the new books and getting your insights on your training and your updates and all the wonderful things that you're doing. And we'll definitely have to get you back on at another time, and maybe we'll break down some body cam footage and do that sort of thing. But yeah, I love what you're doing. It's been an honor to talk to you and to read your work and just I'm a fan, and we'll just keep on keeping on. But yeah, thank you so much for being on.
I appreciate you having me on. We're on Facebook together, but I've got all those other Facebook pages that you can look at, the Lee Wedlake's Karate and the Get Cranial page and so on. So you can find me if you need to. So.
We'll do, and yeah, I'll get links to that in the show notes, and everyone can get hooked on the Mr. Wedlake train, the Kempo dude train. Yeah.
I'm afraid that's going to stick. Oh no.
Nothing wrong with that. I like it.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thanks.